They said I wouldn't come out of here alive. Is this Norway? This is the hood.
How you doing, Father Clink? You know, we are one of the poorest counties in America.
Gunshots, how often?
Every night, almost. Purify ourselves off so nothing follows us. Cartel has made its way onto the reservation.
Mexican cartel.
Mexican cartel. This is a sweat lodge. Bloods and Crips praying together.
This is all Washington's land?
Yeah. These rocks are considered our grandfathers. This was where they sold the most beer in America. That's a meth house. If they're boarded up, they found meth in there.
If we can begin to realize that our differences enrich us, then diversity is something good. Otherwise, diversity is just the walls that separate us.
Got his little outfit he's wearing. Got a little
Okay,
vest
so
on.
where am I? In Scandinavia? Is this Norway? Where are we?
You're out here at the Thunder Valley Housing Development.
You're the Lakota expert, right, Roger?
Yeah, I'm a historian.
You're the OG around here?
Yeah.
I would say if there's someone to represent the Oglala Nation, it'd be him.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been teaching for 26 years at our local Catholic Jesuit school.
Oh, wow. So you're Catholic?
I was a little baby when I was baptized, but I practiced the traditional ways. So,
Okay.
yeah, you could say I guess I'm Lakota Catholic, but more a recovering Catholic, I guess you could say.
Gotcha. So I just drove in from Crow this morning.
Made it out alive, huh?
Made it out alive. That's what they said about you guys. They said I wouldn't come out of here alive. I love the talking in between the tribes. I've noticed that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of rivalry. I mean, the Crows were the ones who scouted for the cavalry against us.
Wow. Nice place.
Thank you.
This is cool. Beautiful.
We have a mortgage on a home, and I think like a lot of misconception is that the government gives us houses, or like we get money from our tribe, which we don't.
So you're paying for this
full
outright?
Yeah, we got a mortgage, and then the Thunder Valley Community Development really helped us with the process and purchasing the home, and
Okay.
gave us the education.
These houses are set up too because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
7 houses set up in a semicircular form, and her entrance faces the east. Traditionally, that's how our teepees would have been set up,
Oh, okay.
with the leader in the center, like right here. So that's why I call my daughter's house is the chief's house, because it's in the center right here. And the 2 at the end are the warriors who guard the entrance. And so everybody that comes in are supposed to come in through that entrance way over there.
So I was told the last few days actually in Montana on the different reservations I've been on, they said, 2 things. Pine Ridge is the most dangerous and Pine Ridge is the poorest, which first impressions, different than what I thought I'd be getting into. And it's not all like this, obviously, but
Well, I mean, economically, per capita, we are one of the poorest counties in America.
you guys are so far in here. It took forever to get here from the last town, like an hour and a half.
Oh yeah. So if you notice, all the roads that lead off the reservation, that's also by design, and that's the way of the government keeping us poor. So all the money goes off the reservation.
So what I'm realizing in my journey through native lands is every reservation has different jurisdiction to some degree. For example, yesterday on Crow, I learned that, people could homestead from outside the reservation. White people or any people could come in and homestead. So some of that land is not owned by the Crow, even though it's in their reservation.
In the boundaries, yeah.
What about here?
Here,
Lakota.
the majority is tribal land. In modern times, I know because of fractionation, unless you have a title to it, you can do whatever you want with it. You own it. You could sell it
So you could sell it to anybody?
to anybody, yeah. No, if you have a title. But if it's tribal land, you cannot sell it. It belongs to the tribe.
Okay.
But in reality, all the land belongs to the federal government.
Really?
Yeah, it all belongs to the federal government.
This is all Washington's land?
Yeah, this is all.
Technically?
Yep. Lakota, this is from the Battle of the Bighorn, okay? That happened in 1876. So the Lakota got the fame, the Crow got the land over in Montana, and the Cheyenne got the shaft. And that comes from a Cheyenne friend. Like I said, I'm part Cheyenne also. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is on a lot of reservations. There's mixes, right?
Yeah. They're
Between the tribes.
Yeah, especially in modern times, like Darwin's and Navajo. I met my daughter, through
Yeah.
of course modern technology and the internet.
Tinder? You guys use Tinder out here?
In our traditional way, we didn't marry. If you married within your Tioshpa, you couldn't do that because you're all relatives, right?
Okay.
And so my grandfather told me, you can't marry nobody from here. You're related to everybody, so you got to find yourself a wife from somewhere else.
That's good advice, huh?
Yeah. Otherwise, everybody's gonna be inbred, I think it's more in the '90s, and it was all over reservations, all over America. With the new movies like Blood In and Blood Out.
Okay.
The kids growing up listening to rap music and emulating the Bloods and the Crips, what's going on in the cities. And of course, we have young natives that live in the cities and come back and bring it back to the reservation. And so for a while there in the 90s, man, we had a huge problem with our youth calling themselves Bloods and Crips. The medicine man here had a big following, and I went out to his Sundance, and I felt like I was one of the older ones out there dancing. But I seen them out there together, Sundancing together, Bloods and Crips, who claim to be Bloods and Crips, praying together.
But at the Sundance,
But
they
at
were
the
cool.
Sundance, it's all neutral. You couldn't bring that gang stuff into the Sundance.
So that's interesting. Inner city America was influencing
Influencing
these
the-
far out reservations.
Yep. And all because, and I seen it from, the media. Tupac and Biggie, that thing came out, and a lot of them would side with one East Coast versus West Coast, and you have that here. I'm like, East Side, what part of the east of the res are you rapping?
So these other normal homes out here, and this is sort of how it is on the res?
Yeah,
just
pretty
sparse?
much. You'll see a mix of trailers with stick-built houses, which are probably built by HUD houses. As a tribal member, you're allowed a standard assignment of 2 acres. I can apply for an assignment and maybe lease some land and put my trailer there because I live in a trailer in the village. This is a dialysis building. We have so much diabetes, they have to have dialysis centers, so people come in here for dialysis.
Just from the diet, the modern diet?
Yeah, because of the government rations are high in carbohydrates and sugars. And I mean, it's like that all over Native America, man. You go to Navajo res, man, there's a lot of people with diabetes.
It's beautiful countryside, though.
Oh yeah, especially during this time. We call it the Wahbe Kasnawi, the month when the leaves fall off the trees in our language.
Do you speak your language at home with your wife?
No, she's Ojibwe.
Okay.
So I do, she knows a little bit. I speak more with the grandchildren and my daughters. Our parents were that generation where the language was beat out of them in the schools. It was against the law for them to speak their language because, they wanted everybody assimilated.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough, I grew up around here where the majority of the people were Lakota speakers. Not like it is today now. Other than in the school systems where it's coming back really strong, especially the school I work at. Of course, that's because I teach it now.
They're into it, though?
Yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of them want to learn the language now because, that's part of who we are as a culture, and a lot of them are realizing that if you want to call yourself a Lakota, then you should speak the language. Whereas like in Navajo, there's probably a lot more youth or I don't know how it is there. I know Darwin speaks, so.
Darwin, you speak Navajo?
Yes, I do.
How do they take you in here, Darwin?
Well,
Do you have to prove yourself?
Well, I thought at first I did, but if you've seen Dances with Wolves, the movie, just like that, but a Navajo version of Kevin Costner. I was headed up to North Dakota to go fight the pipeline, right?
Okay.
I don't know if you heard about that at the time,
Sure.
like a couple years ago. So I was headed up there to fight the Black Snake, they call it, and I was coming through Ogallala Lakota country here, and I got captured. I got captured by the Lakotas, yeah. So I got captured and I never went back. I speak fluent Navajo, still trying to learn English at the same time, but it's
Navajo
all...
is your native language?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Dene. This is how we say it. Me and Roger here, we're known as Res, right? We're hardcore Res. Earlier, when you were on your way in and you were somewhere right up the road, a couple of miles, and you text me, and I was trying my best to not give you the Res direction because that's what we're all good at around here. So I was like trying to not, say, well, if you pass 2 dead dogs along the road and a dead horse, you've gone too far.
Is this a? It's
Yeah,
awake.
it's awake.
Awake. So this
Can
is
I film that?
Yeah, you can film it. I don't know who it is, but
So what you're saying, the cartel, what?
the cartel has made its way onto the reservation. Wait,
Mexican cartel.
Mexican cartel. A few years back, there was an article in Indian Country Today newspaper about some cartel members that like hooked up with some Arapaho women, and that's how they made their way into that reservation. And so what they'd do is go to the girls would introduce them to their family members and friends at the parties and stuff and give them free drugs. And then once they got them hooked, and then now they have to buy it from them.
Okay.
And so that's how it made its way in. I'm assuming the same way here.
This is very important in your history.
Oh yeah, and it's also important in American history too, because this was the last conflict, if you will, but it was more of a massacre where they just kind of killed everybody. And it was from the 7th Cavalry, of course, who was Custer's remaining after they were all wiped out at the Little Bighorn. Mm-hmm. Well, then that was the 7th Cavalry who massacred these guys. So for us, it was revenge. The United States got revenge on our people because they used the 7th Cavalry against us then.
So are these battles in this history still very important in your everyday life?
Oh yeah.
As a Lakota?
As far as there's this thing called historical trauma that has been documented and researched, that a lot of our people are suffering from that historical trauma because of this event. They never used to talk about it because they were afraid of what might happen, retaliation, people that were here and witnessed it. When you see your people just annihilated just like that, it's just like, wow, how could they do this to our people,
Navajos won't come in here?
Kind of like a Navajo taboo.
Taboo, yeah.
Unless we know that the individuals in the cemetery.
It's okay if I'm in here?
Yeah, no, for you it's all right.
Okay.
So this is where they buried the 300 or more bodies. And you can see the prayer offerings offered.
Okay.
That's what the red flags are. Okay.
So what's the state of Catholicism or Christianity in the Lakota society now?
Well, as you know, Christianity was pretty much forced on our people. It was the missionaries who came and tried to civilize us under the direction of the United States government.
Okay.
A lot of the people are returning to their traditional ways of praying. Some of them, like I said, I was a recovering Catholic, but I work for the Catholic Church, so I got to be careful what I say. We just had an issue at our school because we did a traditional prayer at the same time they had a mandatory mass. And so some of us got in a little bit of trouble from the school from both Catholic and the traditional, saying you were making the children decide, making them choose between traditional and Catholicism at a Catholic school. There we go. Oh, there you go, boy. Smudge yourself.
Sweet grass. You just smudge.
Smudge it. When we go into a graveyard and stuff, we want to purify ourselves off so nothing follows us.
What is that?
Sweetgrass.
You know sage, right?
Yeah.
Sage. Just similar to sage. I personally start my day off with this.
Every
With this or
morning.
Every morning.
You just take it in like
I
that?
take it in. I say a little short prayer in my language, and I thank the Creator above for, life. I'll give you one before we leave. I have a whole lot at the house.
Thank you.
You can take it home with you and your wife. Wherever you guys are off to your next journey, you guys take it along with you.
We're going to your people.
Yeah, and I'll probably see you down there again.
That's like an everyday thing, around here.
The ambulances?
Ambulances, police.
Do you feel it's ever dangerous out here?
No, I don't feel it's dangerous myself because I'm from here. And
Sure. If I came out alone, walked the streets with the camera, problems or no?
you'd be harassed by people. Like, what are you doing? Like Darwin was flying his drone and people were going.
Try to steal your drone, Darwin?
Yeah, they're like wild Indians. They're like, what is that?
What is that?
UFO? Like, my drone's flying.
If the cops were chasing us off of the chasing us from Rapid City to the res, they'd have to stop at the res boundary, call into the tribal police and say, hey, I'm in pursuit of this white Dodge Ram pickup, just drove onto the reservation. Do I have your permission to pursue? And they'll either say yes or no.
Okay.
So they got to ask for permission. But now there was a new compact just signed about a month ago that kind of got a lot of treaty people upset. Because before, the state troopers can't even come on the reservation unless they're invited.
How is your government here, your tribal government? Crow, they were telling me how corrupt it was for them.
Yeah, pretty much. all reses are that.
All right.
Basically, what happens is you get the same people in year after year, and all they do is help their families, you know. And it's been that way. That was the problem in '73 when they were fighting against our tribal president back then, is any government funding that comes in goes directly to our tribal programs. They're supposed to be helping the people, but the only ones that get help are the ones related to those that operate those
So a
programs.
lot of nepotism. here in the-
Nepotism, exactly.
Big time, okay.
All over reservations in the whole America. Those are like built, I think, in the 70s. Those are community centers, the round building. That's a new one, Pine Ridge Vision. There's our Pizza Hut.
You have Pizza Hut here.
Yeah, Pizza Hut, Taco John's. This is a coffee shop right here. If you're here in the morning, get yourself some coffee.
Wow.
That's the best coffee.
Right there, yeah. Get yourself some coffee and some donuts there.
Cannabis right here.
There's another one right back there.
Cannabis.
Cannabis, yeah.
So tell me about res dogs.
There they are right there.
And they sort of have their turf, right? Is that the story?
The res dogs, they'll follow you home, Peter.
Yeah.
They'll follow me.
Don't
Okay.
feed 'em.
My wife will love that. You have a church here?
That's the old Catholic church, actually. That's the old criminal investigation. I think they still might use it. I don't know. I'll tell you a funny story about that. So I used to ride motorcycles with the Banditos, right?
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I had my own club called Ghost Dance, and I was the president of it, right? And I had a couple students that were police officers here. I taught them back in the 90s. And they told me, they said, we were at a South Dakota State Trooper training in Pierre, South Dakota, and they asked us, are there any motorcycle gangs on the reservation? And we told them no. And they were showing them a slideshow, and they go with the pictures, and there's a picture of you and your wife and a bunch of banditos standing at the big bats right out there. But anyway, they said pictures of you and all your motorcycle club with the banditos. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you're in the state file, man, with the motorcycle gangs.
So how does, this is a question I get often, is, do people get free housing? Or Darwin, your building has it's a mortgage.
Mortgage,
My
yeah.
wife was saying.
So a lot of the houses, like the stick builts, were built some in the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
They're HUD houses, and a lot of them are tribal employees who can afford to pay rent on them.
Okay.
But part of the treaty is also to get housing. So unless you're working, if you're working, you have to pay rent, and you're just paying to the tribal housing authority.
So the tribal housing authority owns all of them.
Owns most of the majority of the houses that are
Okay.
stick built, that are HUD houses, because they were HUD program houses.
Okay, so the individuals are not owning their homes.
There's home ownership houses.
Okay.
You pay to own them. Yeah, like my mother's
Okay.
house was a home ownership house, but like unless you buy your own trailer like these guys, you might not even have a house. That's why there could be 3 or 4 families living in that little trailer down there.
Okay, something like that.
Yeah.
Is there a housing shortage here right now?
Oh yeah, definitely a
Big
big time housing shortage. So now we're in Nebraska now. So
This
yeah,
is the
put our
Nebraska
seatbelts
line.
on, straighten up. This was where they sold the most beer in America, in this little town right here.
No way.
Yeah. Like these guys were millionaires. The
These guys
that
were
owned
millionaires.
Owned this. This was a bar. That was, and it's just beer. They quit selling hard liquor in the 70s after the Wounded Knee, because they used to have bars where you could go in and drink, but they had too many fights, too many shootings, too many killings. People were dying up here. One of our tribal presidents at the time, Brian Brewer, was kind of big on that, and so They would come and they would march on this town and say, shut it down because you're killing our people with this alcohol.
So Pine Ridge is dry right now? You can't buy
it's
alcohol?
a dry res. You can't get it. Alcohol's against the law.
How is alcoholism right now?
It's still bad because now they're selling vodka. These
Bootleggers.
bootleggers.
Oh, they're bootlegging in
They're
there.
selling vodka in bottles like this. They call them skips. But this place, it used to be booming, man. People passed out on the streets here, like laying right here all the time, laying on the side of this building, drunk Indians, man.
You used to ride up here on horse to get
On
liquor?
horse, yeah, from the rest, and just go get alcohol right over there. When I was 14 years old. They didn't care. I barely speak it over. What do you want? Give me a 6-pack of Coors.
So people were riding horseback then.
We were.
Do you drink anymore?
No, I haven't
You quit?
drank in over 38 years. Yeah, like,
Best thing you ever did, or?
I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't quit.
That's the BIA.
Yeah, it's
That
called
building?
the BIA office. Yeah, and this is the tribal building. That's where our main tribal
That's a cool
president.
building.
Yeah.
Tribal meetings.
You guys got a pretty big skate park
Yeah,
over there.
actually, the bass player for Pearl Jam helped with that.
No way.
Yeah, he was here. Comes down about every summer.
I just saw Pearl Jam last month.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, one of my favorite bands. So the big bad Pine Ridge isn't as, I'm a newbie and I'm with the nice guys, but it doesn't have the big bad feel that I thought I was going to get today,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Just another place. Bunch of wild Oglalas, though.
Wild what?
Wild Oglalas, that's what we call ourselves. I always joke around. I say since the pandemic, though, we became the mild Oglalas.
Why, the pandemic made you soft or what?
Yeah, made our leaders soft.
How
Made
so?
them scared. Yeah, like a lot of my students still wear masks at school because they're afraid. The youth need to find, motivation, find hope in this. Something, like for me, going back and learning more about my Lakota spirituality and just keeping it simple, This is the kind of the community public school, and we call it the treaty school because one of the treaty rights is education, and this is the old school. So this is all like federal government property. That's why it's all. They used to have wire over these, barbed wire over the fence.
Oh, wow.
And it looked more like a prison. So I think they got for that. So they had to take the barbed wire off. So we try to keep kids in or keep them out.
Where are these people working here?
All the houses are here. They're either police officers, teachers, or office workers. When I look at the paper, there's a lot of tribal positions open, there's a lot of jobs, but I think nowadays, just like everywhere else, nobody wants to work because they're getting that free money from COVID, and that's about ready to
Still?
run out. I don't know.
So it might be a silly question, but what's the love for collecting cars? I notice a lot of
Yeah.
places have a ton of cars.
Some people get big lease checks. They get lease money or like probably COVID money, whatever. When they get a big check, they'll buy a car. If it breaks down, well, they'll just leave it sitting outside their house and wait for the next check to buy another car.
We're not Indians and we're not Native Americans. We're older than both concepts. We're the people, we're the human being. Okay, I got a question for you because it's hard for non-indigenous or native to understand because we're told a million things. It sort of goes against this, so correct me where I'm wrong. If we're to refer to the overall, like not a specific tribe, not like Lakota or Crow, what's the best way to say it? What do you guys like to be?
I mean, and it depends on the tribe. It
Okay.
Depends on the tribe and who you're talking to. I think indigenous is kind of a newer tag that when you start looking at the definition of the words, indigenous, yeah. Indigenous of that land. You can say that about the Maori people and their island.
What about Indian?
Now, Indian, the older people are so used to Indian, that's what they prefer. The reason also is because when you look at the treaties, especially treaty people, they call us Indians in that treaty. But each tribe prefers their own name. Like for us it's Oglala. I'm Oglala.
Oglala.
Oglala, yeah. But you wouldn't know that because you don't know anything about Oglalas. Sioux, some people like I'm Oglala Sioux because they don't know where the word Sioux comes from. Even our own tribe, we're called the Oglala Sioux tribe. They haven't changed our, on the tribal buildings, they still call
Okay.
themselves Oglala Sioux, even though they know It's a derogatory name given to us by the French and Ojibwe. But we still, as a nation, call ourselves that. Whereas the traditional people say, I'm not a Sioux, I'm a Lakota. I mean, to me, it's no big deal. You call me whatever you want.
No, it's just interesting because older people say one thing, younger people say
younger
another,
people,
and then a lot of, let's say, college-educated white people will say how you have to say it,
because
and they have no experience here.
Looked it up in the freaking encyclopedia. And, oh, well, I could be Native American. I was born in America.
Right,
I could
right.
be Native American, you know?
I know they're
Like
really...
in India, they called me tribal. Oh, they thought I was from India.
How'd you like India?
I love that, man. And he said, oh, you're red Indian. You talk about poverty here. I mean, not comparing it, but I try to tell my students that grew up here, I said, you guys ain't seen poverty. You want to see poverty? Go to India. And I was sitting there outside this building, and this guy gets up. It's 4 o'clock in the morning because I can't sleep. I watched him get out, take a leak alongside the building. I'm like, what's he doing? And then he starts digging through trash. He grabs some papers and he takes it down, and he has this little 2 bricks sitting there, puts all the trash in there. He lights it up, goes to the other place, pours some water in the pan, and he's heating his water for his morning rice. I'm like, damn. And then all of a sudden, it's like in a tarp. There's a tarp. I finally saw it. He came out of this tarp shelter. About 6 little kids come out of there, man. And then his wife comes out. And I'm like, oh, there's a whole family living in that tarp.
Yeah. I think everyone needs to, people that complain a lot need to go to India boot camp. 1 month there, not much money, limited funds.
And they don't have the state helping them. Like here, at least we get help from some of our people get welfare. You know, they get food stamps. We have our commodity program where you're not starving. Tesawi, that's the white buffalo.
What does that word mean?
Tesawi, that is a buffalo, Sa is white, and we is woman. In our spirituality, you heard of what they call a peace pipe?
Yep.
That's kind of a misnomer for that. We call it our sacred chanupa, which is the pipe. And it's the whole foundation of our spirituality. We use it to pray. It was brought to us by a woman, the white buffalo calf woman. So it's a long story, but just to make it short, she comes, and then when she leaves, she turns into a buffalo. So her name was the white buffalo calf woman. So that was like, if you want to say like, to compare it with Jesus, that would be like our Savior.
Okay.
That's the old jail. I was in there, that's the newer, well, that's not the new jail, but.
You were in the old jail?
Oh yeah, I got thrown in the old jail as a kid. Curfew violation. They used to have 10 o'clock curfew.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Back in the day, you couldn't be out in the streets past 10?
After 10, especially during the 70s when we were under martial law. You couldn't even be out after dark.
Okay, so under martial law here?
Yeah.
In the whole reservation?
Yeah. In 1973, the American Indian movement occupied Wounded Knee, the little hamlet of Wounded Knee. And that brought in the United States Marshals, the FBI, and the local goon squad, they called them. And it was basically a military action. First, they were unhappy with the tribal government at that time. The other reason was because of the racism and the killing of two Native Americans in border towns. Mm-hmm. So they're basically here to kind of help out. They were asked to come. And so the American Indian movement was back then a militant Native organization. They did sit-ins. They occupied like an abbey in Wisconsin. It was an armed occupation, basically. They took up arms against the tribe and the federal government. And so at that time, when they called in the U.S. Marshals, there were armored personnel carriers. Actually, on one of the buildings, I was telling you, Billy Mills Hall, and the BIA building I showed you, there was a guy sitting up there with a machine gun around with sandbags. I remember that, yeah.
Wow.
Old Res was pretty much a war zone, right?
Yeah, it was a war zone then.
For how many years?
It was 71 days, but it lasted for 2 years, I would say, after that, because then it was just local infighting against Lakotas fighting Lakotas.
Okay.
You're either pro-AIM or anti-AIM. This is, I'm trying to see if we could get a shot of buffalo for you. Okay. This is one of my friends he owns a tire shop down here, but he also has a buffalo herd that he takes care of.
So you've never lived anywhere else? You've always lived 2 valleys over and here?
No, My dad went out on that relocation program, and I was born in Oakland.
Really? Okay, so what was the relocation program
They
exactly?
called it the dislocation program.
Okay.
The government was trying to train everybody on the reservation and then move them to cities.
Okay.
And then their thinking was after they got everybody off the reservation, then they could take that land too.
What years was that happening?
In the 50s and 60s.
This is a new world for me, so I'm rookie questions. But I was under the impression just up until a couple days ago that all these lands were now pretty much sealed and locked down and good to go. But I'm learning that's not the case, right? There's a constant battle.
Yep. Now they have the Indian buyback program.
Okay.
So a bunch of landowners sold their land back to the supposedly to the tribe, but basically it's back to the government.
And they leave the reservation?
No, they're still here. They just get the money, and then they lose their title to the land. A lot of the landowners never lived on their land; they just kind of leased it out. And
So how's that make you guys feel? Things like that.
I think it's atrocious.
This is where you work?
Yeah, that's the church.
Chief Red Cloud's buried up here on the side to your left.
That was an Indian boarding school back in the day?
Yeah, this is where
And it's haunted.
that's where
It's haunted? It
that's
looks
the girls'
haunted.
dorm. Yeah, it is. This is where all the Jesuits live up here. Who's this? Father Cleek. Hold on. How you doing, Father
What's that?
Cleek? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just came back from visiting Lynn Crossdog.
Oh, how's Lynn doing?
You know, he's doing pretty good. They
Oh, is he?
amputated the first joint on his right big
Oh,
toe.
I didn't know that.
But it's healing very well, and so they're feeling very good about it. He says he feels much better.
Oh,
So
okay.
he looked great. Peter Klink.
Oh, Peter Santinello.
Very nice to
Yeah,
meet you.
you too, Peter.
So we're just grabbing a little bit of footage and
I do different communities all over the world and the country, and I'm doing a series on natives right now. Starting at
What a
Black.
great thing, in
Yeah.
a sense, if we can begin to realize that our differences enrich us, if we can
Yeah.
learn to humbly respect those differences, you know, then diversity is something good. Otherwise, diversity is just the walls that separate us. So that building of an understanding of how we can bless each other
Sure.
is very important, I think. So I'm
I-
glad you're doing what you're doing with culture.
Thank you. I think it's just mutual respect, right?
Yep.
With everyone.
Yeah. And humble.
Humble. Yes.
Humble mutual respect.
Yep.
Listen, I'll let you guys get.
All right,
before
good
the
to
sun
see you,
gets
Father.
too far
Okay,
down.
Father.
It's a beautiful time of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care, Father.
Toksha.
Doksha. He's been here. He was a young scholastic when I was a student here. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. Like he does all.
He's a well-respected guy.
Well-respected father. Been here for.
So he doesn't deal with any issues for being white and a father out here? No?
I mean, the Catholics respect him. The Lakota Catholics, love him. Like when their family members die, he's the one they want to do the services.
Oh, look at that light coming right through. Such a beautiful time of year.
This is a sweat lodge.
Oh, it's the sweat lodge.
So this is where we heat up the rocks right here.
Can I show
Yeah,
inside?
you can show inside. After the rocks are heated up, then they're brought inside with pitchforks,
Okay.
and people sit inside here and pray. Traditionally, they use the buffalo hide to cover these with, but nowadays you can see we're using canvas and modern materials. But the wood frame is still made from either ash, saplings, or willow.
Okay.
Ash if you want it to last a long time. And they have 4 doors, they're called. So they open the first door, they close the door, and the person running the sweat lodge, leads the prayers. They sing the songs. Certain songs go along with it, which are important.
What are the prayers like?
It's just, you
Well,
pray
you're
from
not.
your heart.
But you're not doing, Christian prayers.
No,
you're doing
no,
more.
no. Well, you can't. So we pray with the priests and stuff, and they may pray Christian. We're all praying. In
the
our belief, we're
priests-
praying the same thing, yeah.
Okay, the
same
priest might
entity.
go in here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the priests
Interesting.
come in and pray with us. We have nuns that are from India here.
Nuns from India come in your
working, yeah.
sweat lodge. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Some places are really strict. They won't allow any non-Lakotas in there. They won't allow any some will just have men-only sweats, too. It just depends on who's pouring the water. These rocks are considered our grandfathers, okay, because they're oldest living thing on this earth. You know, to someone who doesn't understand it, these are, and it comes from our creation story of Ea, the first entity that came about, gave up itself so that it could create the world. And it made himself real hard and brittle and broke into rock. So what we're doing is when we're heating up these, we call them grandfathers, these rocks, we're bringing them back to life. And so when we take them into the sweat lodge, then, and we pour that sacred water on them, then it creates the steam, which is the breath of the Creator. And so what we're doing is we're breathing in that a breath of life. A lot of people that I've never been in a sweat lodge, and the first time they've been in a sweat lodge, they'll be like, wow, that was amazing, you know, and I feel regenerated, you know, reborn again almost, you know, and what, you know, like we close it off and it's all dark in there. Grandfathers come in and, you know, it's a whole different, you know, world in there. It's like, it's one of the oldest ceremonies that you'll ever participate in America.
How often do you do this?
We used to go almost every weekend for a while there. But lately, because of COVID, we haven't been, like I haven't been in a sweat lodge for a while. I need one actually.
How long do you last in there?
It just depends on the people's prayers. Sometimes it gets too hot, so you want to keep your prayers short.
Is it safe to say things have come a long way because you have the Father up there and you have language immersion schools down here and you can practice your ceremonies?
Yep.
Like there's some
It wasn't that way when
acceptance
I went to school here. Like a lot of the natives were pretty much, I mean, not a lot of them. We still have a lot of traditional people who lived in the outskirts, but you want to say a lot of the people were more progressive. You know, I'm American now. I don't need to know my traditional ways. I got to fit in with society. And then when they get out there and try to fit into the society, and the American society didn't want them. They're like, oh, you're just another drunken Indian, you know. You're a brown-skinned person. You don't belong here. This is our city. This is our country. Go back to your reservation. A lot of our grandmas and grandpas were just, you know, disillusioned by what was happening in the cities. And all you're doing is get up every day, go to work, you know, and paying bills and rent and not really living, chasing that dollar. I mean, you still got to do it today, but at least now we're on our own terms. You know, we can still grow our hair long and practice our traditional ways. And the church, actually, because of the bodies in Canada, they're kind of under scrutiny right now. See this field here? They did a ground penetrating the earth right here looking for bodies, but they didn't find nothing. So, but it's all up in the news and stuff about what the Catholic Church did to the native people. So
in Canada recently, right?
yeah, Canada, all America too.
Yeah, all America.
Wherever they boarded native kids, man, a lot of them never made it home. I mean, one of them was Carlisle, Pennsylvania. They have a whole slew of graves there. There comes a point when you say, well, how can you rise above that? And to prove to them you're not just another dirty Indian. You're not that drunken Indian that everybody sees out there on the streets, you know. You're educated, there's hope, they see hope in you, and they...
So you're saying when I had the camera off that the younger kids are having more of an issue with the past
because of what they see on social media, even though they haven't lived it, yeah.
when you should be more angry because you dealt with it
Oh yeah.
than a lot of the youth today.
Oh yeah. I mean, some do to the point where they know the kids today will go off the reservation and they'll be discriminated against in the border towns. Okay. So a lot of them know that.
The border towns are pretty hardcore, huh?
Yeah.
I was in one yesterday.
Yeah. This is the hood I grew up in right here.
This is the hood.
Yeah, this is the hood.
So lots of crime these days, or?
Yeah, this is where you hear the gunshots going off nowadays. No, it wasn't like that when I grew up here in the 60s, so.
So gunshots, how often?
Every night, almost, every night. That's actually the house I used to live in right there.
That one?
That yellow house, yeah.
What about a house like this with a...
That's a meth house. If they're boarded up, they found meth in there.
They found meth?
They found traces of meth, so they...
And then they just, the police get them out?
Yeah, they got to get them out.
Like that was a meth house?
Could have been, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. That's what they're saying now. They got to close down all the meth houses. Look at the res dogs. Look at
the res dogs, they'll come at you, huh?
This house right here, or this empty spot,
yeah,
the propane tank blew up, man. Killed an elderly couple, and yeah, it's not there no more. If there was a duplex like that, there you go. There's a res car for you right there.
That's a res car.
That can probably get you down to Arizona, Peter.
Oh, here you go. Here you go. Get this one. That's a res trailer right there. Being renovated. HUD house, though.
Okay, this balances it out a little bit. But many good people living here, just
Oh, yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
not everyone's making meth.
Yeah. Not everybody's. What's that say on there? Cop.
Trick or treat, keep out.
Keep on. These houses over here, the basements, when they were flood out, they would make swimming pools for us. So when I was a kid, we used to go swimming over here in the basements of the houses after a big rainstorm.
Okay. The
Probably
structure
a meth
looks
house,
fine, but
yeah.
it plywood because of meth.
Yeah, only because of
And
that.
there's a new house being built right here.
And there's that one burnt down.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, the one that was there before burnt down. Oh, my
Yeah, a
God.
lot of plywood. So there's a housing crisis, but
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of houses that are just boarded
Vacant,
up.
Boarded up. 'Cause it's bad. Deep into the ridge now. This is called Crazy Horse Housing Unit. You want to zip around there real quick?
Yeah, it's a little nicer over here.
A little bit nicer. This-
Stop the Violence campaign. What's that?
Oh,
You seen
the
those things?
violence that's been going on. Oh, shit, we didn't take you by that one place where some little kid was killed. What was he, 3, 4 years old? Dar, do you remember? Some little bitty guy. These houses are even newer back here. I remember when we used to play in the basements of these houses too, because of when I stayed at my grandma's, where I showed you. But there was quite a few drug dealers in this area back in the day. I don't know about now. Used to be a bootlegger right down here though.
Bootlegging vodka or what?
Well, whatever, beer, whiskey. We used to get half pints of Lord Calvert Canadian, or Calvert Canadian Lord, I forgot how to say it.
So, Darwin, totally different than where you live.
Yeah, way different.
Night and day.
Big time. I'm just glad I don't have the kids down here.
Yeah.
That one has lights on inside.
Huh.
Some of them can be haunted too.
Oh, that's right. I gotta go do that ghost busting tonight at that house. I forgot about her.
Roger runs a ghost busting ceremony.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You go tame the spirits or?
Yeah, gotta go chase them out of her house, I guess. I'm an avid Harley rider. That's what Grandpa's known for too.
Oh, there we go. That's almost like a car. Thing's massive.
Oh, battery's dead. I haven't ridden it in so long since I got sick. Oh. No, are you guys hungry? Come on,
Oh, yeah, thanks.
enter the dragon.
Hello.
This is Peter, my wife Vita, aka Thunder Knight, Purple Thunder Knight.
Guys, thank you so much. Dar,
Glad to have you, Peter.
It was good
Roger.
to meet you, Peter.
appreciate it.
You bet.
Guys, I'm gonna end the video in a bit, but before I do, I wanna mention these guys have channels. Also, your wife has a channel?
Yeah, Purple Thunder Knight.
Navajo Man and Lakota Bay.
Yeah, I'm gonna put those at the end of the video. Got a few final thoughts I wanna close on. Guys, I'm gonna meet you back there in 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right, thanks for coming along on that journey. Very interesting look into a culture most of us have zero clue about. At least I did until about 6 hours ago, 7 hours ago. And I want to say with all of these videos, the people that bring me in that have the wisdom and the knowledge, the local knowledge and the understanding, it's through their perspective, just like all these videos are through my perspective. So I try to show you the good, the bad, not sugarcoat, but leave you with a positive message at the end. So I just want to say I admire and respect the culture they're preserving. It's humbling, and the spirituality component is it's very attractive these days, I gotta say. So with that, this is part of a much greater Native series. Watch the other videos too, and also watch other creators and what they make. Watch these guys' channels. They're on the ground. They know it better than anyone. So until the next one, take care.